Back in action, Pete and John, Chef's Kiss. John, what's up, dude? We just had Wild Card Weekend. We had some MLB stuff going on. I mean, you got your Packers hat on. We know you had a good weekend. I had a terrible night last night, but we're gonna get into all the good stuff.
But
You want to start it, John?
Yeah, you got your Phillies poncho on, so it's all good.
Yeah, we finally got snow, dude. It finally snowed, and it's like actual snow on the ground. I was so happy, and my wife had off today. So
That's
she had
awesome.
a snow day. Yeah, it was like,
I wish I
it's
could
so
say
fun.
I wish I could say it's super fun for me, but it's been -8 degrees here, and literally
Yeah.
we're stuck inside. But it makes for great wild card weekend, which basically I spent the entire time watching football. And I don't want to toot my own horn, but I was right on a couple of my predictions. But we'll get into that. So
Yeah.
let's get into it. Wildcard weekend. To be honest, the games were not great, other than the
No.
Lions game. But there were quite a few blowouts. But okay, so let's start Saturday. Texans over Browns, 45-14. C.J. Stroud was phenomenal, 157.2 passer rating, 3 touchdowns, best rookie performance in the playoffs ever. He was amazing. Not surprised by that. Flacco really looked his age, throwing 2 pick sixes. It was basically just Stroud just making phenomenal plays, and the game wasn't even close.
Yeah, it started off with the back and forth, and then C.J. Stroud kind of took over. Most impressive thing too, John, is what he's doing without Tank Dell, because he relied on Tank Dell a lot during this season. He's not there. He's obviously been hurt.
I had Tank Dell for fantasy, but now Nico Collins has just seamlessly stepped into that position, and he's a stud.
Yeah.
So
that was exciting to see, and it really makes when you're drafting quarterbacks. We how we had that last offseason. It's Bryce Young. It's going to be C.J. Stroud. I mean, there's a clear winner in that one, right?
Without a doubt. Dude, his first year, I mean, it's incredible. He's definitely the best quarterback, without a doubt. So, nothing really else about that game. Stroud's awesome. We know that. Now we'll look forward to the matchup coming next weekend.
So,
next
the thing
up,
too,
go
I'm
ahead.
going to get your thing on this, John. God damn it. I hate how many times I say indoor teams, Texans, indoor team, right? Now you're going to go and play outside. I think that is going to be the biggest factor. And I understand. I forgot C.J. Stroud played outside at OSU. So he's used to cold weather. I was like, I forgot about that. But the whole team in general,
the team isn't.
Indoors.
You know what I mean? Just because one player is doesn't necessarily mean the team is. The defense, you're cold. You don't want to hit. It makes a huge difference. Jared Goff outside versus inside. Look at those splits. He is a different quarterback, which kind of segues into my next thing. Chiefs win 26-7. Go ahead.
Bring up last thing in that game. Laramie Tunsil. Remember that guy? He did phenomenal against Myles Garrett. I think he only allowed 2 pressures, but it just made me remember. Remember Laramie Tunsil when he did the gas mask? The weed gas mask, and his stock went all the way down. He had a phenomenal game, by the way, guys.
Shout out
Shout
to
out
Laramie
marijuana.
Yeah,
Shout out gas mask.
Yeah, it may help your performance. He was awesome.
Yeah.
So to segue into a team that is comfortable playing indoors or good weather and then have to play outdoor in the elements, Chiefs win 26-7 against the Dolphins in KC. You and I talked about Tua was going to suck in the cold, which is exactly what happened. You and I both predicted that. None of us had the Dolphins. We had the Chiefs. From the get-go, you could tell that Tyreek Hill was the only person that was somewhat comfortable on Miami playing in the cold because he had spent so many years with the Chiefs. Tua looked horrible. He didn't in that, not just the cold, but the cold wind. You really do have to have a strong arm. And their season was done when they lost the 2 seed, and Buffalo got it. That literally in week 18, I was like, they're done. They're going to be one and done. There's no way they're beating the Chiefs at home. to in the cold. It was the fourth coldest game in NFL history, -14. Shout out to number 1, Packers Cowboys, -13. The Ice Bowl, 67. But that's later. We're going to get into that. Something that you pointed out as a joke with your family members, but it's a real thing. Like helping family members. So this game is exclusively on Peacock. Did you have to help your dad? 1, explain what Peacock was, and then 2, help him locate it and download it. As I've many times been the resident family IT person for my parents, who are basically technologically illiterate.
I thought it was funny how people called it. Like I was seeing memes like before it happened. They're like, wait till 11:59. Wait till 11:59 when your parents call, and they're like, why can't I get the game? And sure enough, as soon as it happened, my dad texted me and he was like, brutal. Gotta watch Peacock, or how do I get Peacock for the game?
Yeah, you showed some screenshots with you and your dad, which is hilarious.
Yeah, and I knew that was gonna happen, and I was out at a bar, and I just told him, I was like,
"I'm
sorry, Dad."
You're like, "Dad, fucking figure it out. I can't do this right now."
It's just you get it, you spend the $5.99, or you don't, because you have no shot streaming. I'm not going to give you a website. You know, those pop-ups, I got a lot of questions with those.
Absolutely. So. It's amazing my dad can even watch or listen to this podcast, but I've made it very easy for him, but it's taken a lot of work. But I wanted to talk to you about this. So Charles Barkley came on some show. I caught it in social. I don't remember what, but he came out and slammed the NFL for putting it on Peacock. He goes, "This is BS. This isn't fair. You're ostracizing a lot of people that historically NFL playoffs are on network television. So people from low socioeconomic statuses and things like that. Like you're making people buy this as yes, it's not like $100 pay-per-view, but you do have to purchase it to watch it. Do you think that is good? Like, do you think that's right? What are your feelings about that? Because he was like irate. He was like, "I'm disgusted with the NFL."
Yeah. So first and foremost, I'm a pirate. Okay, Kazaa, LimeWire. Back in those days, I know how to seed.
But
stream.
Not everyone is technologically savvy as you. You know what I mean?
I understand. So I'm getting to my point is, I can overcome those kind of adversities. Like, I know how to stream. I know how to do all that stuff. So it's really not an issue for me. And I think also I am, at least I know, have been inundated, or what is it? I've just been exposed to so much of it. There's some baseball games that are on Apple Plus. We have Thursday Night Football on Prime. I've just become immune to it. Like, I just know it's a part of the game. Like, what channel is it on? I got to go on my ESPN app and see, NFL Network. Shit. I'll have to stream that or go to a bar. What's that on? Okay, Peacock. So I don't think it's great. It's everybody puts in bids for what, Thursday night games or whatever they want to do. And I guess it's just part of streaming world now, John. It's a part of media that has changed. Television is no longer linear. Everything is streaming. So it just comes with the territory, I guess. I don't know. I just... What do you think?
I think it's unfair that a lot of people are ostracized, but I also think, like, this is a business, and they want to get in the streaming game, and they want subscriptions to Peacock. If NBC Sports is doing it, so... I mean, I'm not surprised, and I think you can see this This is only going to continue. There's going to be some games that are streaming only. I mean, look at Thursday Night Football. So
the issue, I think,
but for the playoffs, it sucks if you're a Chiefs fan and you don't want to subscribe to.
It was the only game on TV. Prime time. That's the difference, I think. It's like, okay, Thursday Night Football. Oh, I don't get Thursday Night Football. I don't have Prime.
But who cares? You know what I mean? All right, I won't watch Thursday Night Football. But this is a primetime playoff game with arguably the NFL's best player.
Poster boy, yeah.
Yeah. All right. Moving on. Sunday. My Green Bay Packers absolutely crushed.
Take a victory lap. John. It was well-deserved.
Packers, who you did not take, and you said take your fan. You said, "quote I think take your fan glasses off," and I said this
you're
Packers
biased.
team.
Yeah, something like that.
You said I'm biased, and I said, I'll tell you what, I don't trust Mike McCarthy, and I don't trust Dak in big games. And that's exactly what happened. The Packers won 48-32. That game was that score doesn't reflect the beatdown that they gave. They gave a bunch of garbage touchdowns. At one point, the Packers were up 48-16. Jordan Love's passer rating was the same as C.J. Stroud's, 157.2, 272, 3 touchdowns, no picks. Was phenomenal. I don't know how it feels to be a Bears fan, but I was listening today. Breakdown, Love was awesome. He made a bunch of throws, athletic ability, but it was the touchdown to Wicks. He went
falling backwards.
He went to LaFleur. He went to LaFleur before the game, and LaFleur asked him, "What is he like?" And LaFleur or Love was like, "I like this play a lot. I want to. If I see a look, I'm gonna call it." And he saw the look, he called that play, but he saw that Dan Quinn was doing a zero blitz. If you watch that replay, and I talked about this, the difference between Justin Fields and Love. Love was starting to figure it out. He was starting to see the field, those key third downs in the Bears game. So that same thing, he audibled. If you watch the Wicks touchdown, watch pre-snap, he audibles, he sees Dan Quinn's zero blitz, and he gets the extra protection in the backfield with Aaron Jones and the running back to give him time because he knows he's got one-on-one matchups.
Coverage,
and the Packers wide receivers, if you're going to play man on them, good luck, dude. They're legit. They are really, really quick off the ball, and they can get separation. So he got the protection, and then off his back foot threw a laser for a touchdown. Like that, just the awareness and the ability to see that. And then LaFleur talked about another play, that the one to Musgraves, where Musgraves was wide open, and he just flipped it to him.
How many of those
end,
did that happen?
And then he scored. So that play was supposed to be called before that, and Jordan saw something at the line and checked out of it and checked down to a run, and Aaron Jones went for 26 yards. And then the next play, if you see that play, he called that play again to the tight end, which they had run. The only other time they ran that play was against the Bears in week 1, but Musgraves fell down and got tackled. But he was completely wide open. It was completely blown coverage. So Love calls it.
Gilmore get burned on that too?
They bid on it. So if you watch, so
he kept going.
So that tight end release, that play is called. Love sees it, audibles out into a run. Aaron Jones gets 26 yards, and then Jordan Love looks at LaFleur and goes, "Let's the same play. Let's call that again." And if you look, it's a fake handoff to Aaron Jones. The two guard and right tackle jet out, and it looks like it's a screen to Jones, and everybody bites on it, and then he knows Musgraves is going, and he just flips it to him, and he's wide open. That pre-snap awareness, along with
execution.
Exactly, and then the execution. Like, dude, I'm sorry for Bears fans. Like, he's going to be a problem for you guys. He's seeing it. I saw it in the Bears game. I saw it in Minnesota. I even saw it a little bit in the Pittsburgh game. Like, he's starting to get it. And even LaFleur is surprised. He's like, dude, like, that guy's a dude. And he can make every throw off platform. He was unbelievable.
One of the most
and the other thing, too,
things.
Aaron Jones, the one thing that the Cowboys don't do is stop the run. Aaron Jones killed them. He killed them. They had no answer for them, and they jumped to an early lead. Dallas couldn't recover.
The impressive thing that you mentioned, the off-form back platform throws. Dude's throwing off his back leg. He's falling backwards.
Velocity, and it's on the
accuracy.
money.
Yeah, very Rodgers-esque, right?
Yes.
They did a side by side or an overlay with Favre, Rodgers, and Love, and they were eerily similar.
Very, very similar. And we talked about I talked about my biggest thing was I don't believe in Mike McCarthy and I don't trust Dak in big games. Well, I was right on both counts. Dak was not good. You saw that in that first pass to CeeDee Lamb was just too far in that third down, and he missed. Then he started to panic. Then we got a lead. Now, Mike McCarthy is one of the worst. One, he's dumb, and he's one of the worst coaches to make second-half adjustments. LaFleur, arguably, is really, really good at making second-half adjustments. So everyone was talking about Dak Prescott and CeeDee Lamb, but if you're playing the Packers and you know Matt LaFleur, since he's come to Green Bay, has never been able to stop the run, ever. So the person's name you should have been calling is Tony Pollard. You should have been giving it to him a lot, even you're down 7-0, even if you're down 14-0, because you can run on the Packers, and guess what? You keep Jordan Love off the field. Now, Mike McCarthy we've established as a bad coach. Now, the Packers, we'll get to Packers 49ers, but Shanahan is smart and a good coach. And if you remember, he's pretty much owned LaFleur. LaFleur has beaten him, I think, maybe once, possibly twice. But one time they had none of their players because of COVID. And then the other time, Rodgers made a couple unbelievable throws at the end. But what Shanahan did in the 2019 NFC Championship game was he saw that they were running on the Packers, so he didn't panic. He just kept at it. I think Raheem Mostert got like almost 300 yards on the ground, and Garoppolo was their quarterback. Garoppolo threw it like 7 times. But Shanahan is like, I don't care. They can't stop that. That's what I'm going to keep doing. McCarthy is an incompetent coach. He is so lucky to have won a Super Bowl only because he had an ascending Hall of Fame quarterback in Aaron Rodgers. He is terrible at second-half adjustments. And when these matchups, you look at the quarterback and you look at the coach. When I saw Dallas, I thought I had an advantage at the head coach position and pretty close at quarterback because Dak led the league in touchdowns, and the person that was second was Jordan Love. So they dominated them on all fronts. McCarthy, I can't believe he hasn't been fired yet. He's terrible. I would probably hang on to Dak, but you're going to need a really good coach to really help him. But
you have to hang on to Dak.
You hang on to Dak.
To.
But
he had a bad game.
You get rid of McCarthy. McCarthy is just not a good coach, and he's bad situationally, and he's bad in the playoffs, and he doesn't make adjustments.
It's too hard to find somebody that is just as good or better than Dak Prescott. Get them into the offense, familiar with the weapons.
Yeah,
he did have an amazing year, and you can have a bad game, and we've seen it.
It's
he just doesn't play
bias.
well in the playoffs. He doesn't play well in the playoffs, but you're not going to find somebody just as good or better than him, thinking that there's other improvements on and their defense got fucking torched, dude. That's a bigger
We ran all over them.
Up the
all
middle,
over them.
on the perimeter,
everywhere. We absolutely killed them. The biggest thing with the Packers, the Packers don't stop. Like, we're not good at stopping the run, but if we get a lead on you, that's where we're really good, because now you got to drop back and pass. Joe Barry's defense is predicated on preventing the explosive play. He'll give up yards on the ground to not give up an explosive play. And we have a good pass rush. So if you're standing back there, and specifically if you're a quarterback who doesn't move very well, which is why, honestly, I'd rather see the Lions, hypothetically, if the Packers, in a miracle, beat the 49ers, I would so much rather play the Lions than the Buccaneers, because Goff can't move.
Goff's not moving.
Goff can't move. And so that's and so when I saw Dak back there with 4 or 5 wide receivers, I go, we got him. This is exactly what Joe Barry's defense is set to do. We can't stop the run, but they can't run it because they're down. We jumped them. We jumped them. And so that's what we're going to have to do against San Francisco. But all in all, it was one of the most enjoyable games I can ever remember. And personally, there was no baggage with Rodgers. With Rodgers, as a Packer fan, you were so nervous because the expectations were so high that if you didn't get to a Super Bowl, it was a colossal failure, and it was a knock on his legacy. Considering the last couple of years, I don't really care about his legacy much anymore. I'm not a huge fan of him as a person. As a player, he's one of the greatest. He's probably the best.
What about as a
quarterback
talk
I've ever
show
seen.
host?
Not great. He's not. Well, he's great at getting ratings, but would I want to hang out with him? No.
Probably not.
No, probably not. But Packers move on. One of the best wins ever. A really enjoyable win. You're seeing some of our younger players blossom. So, we'll see it going forward. All right. Lions barely beat the Rams 24-23. You kind of called this. Amon-Ra St. Brown was amazing, but Gibbs, you talked about Gibbs being a breakout player. He was awesome.
Yeah, that's what people talked about early in the season with his light usage. People, that either drafted him in fantasy or just looking for him. Just looking for him to kind of produce. And people had rumblings saying they're going to wait till the playoffs to really unleash him, so that doesn't get hurt. And at the time, I thought that sounded stupid. I'm like, you have this running back, you're not saving him for the playoffs. And then sure enough, you thought, hey, if this is going to be one of the games, like, you got to use him. He runs so hard. He runs through tackles. He breaks tackles.
He's fast, too.
Fast.
He's really fast.
Yeah. He can do
He's
a lot.
A problem.
He catch out of the backfield.
And he can catch, too. He is a walking mismatch. He's like this is hyperbolic here, but he's like a McCaffrey or Samuel. I mean, he's just really, really diverse in his skill set, and he's got elite speed. So he's a problem. But yeah, Lions won, defense held.
How about none of those calls on Matthew Stafford? You see him get knocked out?
Yeah. He was concussed.
His eyes were open.
He was concussed, 100%.
Yeah. That dude is tough, man. He's a tough guy.
Oh yeah, I've always liked even when Stafford was with the Lions, I liked him. One, because he never beat Rodgers ever, but I always liked him. But Lions move on. Gibbs and St. Brown were really the game changers of that, and the defense held. Going to Monday, the Bills-Steelers game got moved because of horrific snowstorms in the Buffalo area. Bills crushed the Steelers 31-17. This was one of the quickest picks for you and I last week. Both of us had the Bills.
It was unanimous.
And it was essentially Josh Allen taking over. 4 total touchdowns, 203 passing yards, 74 rushing yards, including a 52-yard run, which I saw live, which was phenomenal. I did want to ask, because he was getting some flack for this, and I don't think he did it. Did he do a fake slide on that? He just let up a little bit. But I don't think he attempted to slide. I don't think it was like the Kenny Pickett thing from Pittsburgh, which was clearly a fake.
Where he drags the back leg.
I think nowadays you can't hit quarterbacks, especially if they're gonna, if so. I think you can kind of use. I think he used it to his advantage. I don't think he made a full slide, but he definitely slowed down. Like he thought about sliding, and he's an amazing athlete. So all he needs is the slightest hesitation, and then he outran everybody. So it was basically just him taking over.
That's on the refs too. If you don't like it, they have to call the flag. So he's playing football. Either you call it or you don't. It's not up to me. So yeah,
I agree. I'm with you on that. Yep, Bills take care. That was an easy one. You and I both called that. Bills move on. Steelers just don't really have a quarterback, and when you don't have a quarterback, you can't really win in this league.
Nope.
All right. I know this is a sensitive subject, so I'm gonna let you kind of talk about this. I'll just set it up a little bit. Last night, Eagles. There's no other way to say it, buddy. Eagles got crushed by the Bucs, 32-9, and you called the Eagles. I called the Bucs. I'm sorry to throw it in your face, but I have to say it. I said when Baker's hot, he's red hot. He's on a heater, dude. 337 yards, 3 touchdowns, no picks. He was awesome. So I'm going to let you have the floor and talk about the Eagles, but I have a couple questions to kind of start it off, and then I'm going to let you take it away. Mm-hmm. Was changing coordinators midseason a good idea for them? And because of all of this, does Nick Sirianni get fired? I'll let you have the floor.
I don't think changing your coordinators in Week 13 is ever a good look. You obviously aren't either prepared, you haven't established what you needed to in the first 13 weeks. So I think that's a bad look. Then you flip-flop. Do we go back? Do we go? You have no confidence because you're going back and forth. This is what I've learned, too, about Eagles fans. So I'm going to talk about the fans and then talk about the game. John, the Eagles fans are like that friend who's gets a job, right? And then you see him and you're like, John, how's your job? And you're like, oh, man, it's great. It's fun. I get paid really well. I'm very good at it. They appreciate me. Like, it's a really good job. Oh, man, that's awesome. I'm so happy for you. And then, a month goes by, you see your buddy. Hey, buddy, how you doing? How's work going? That bum-ass job. Those people were tripping, man. Like, I hated that job. I'm not working there anymore. And you're like, what the hell are you talking about? I thought you loved that job. That's how Philly fans are with their sports teams. And you see it every year as soon as the Phillies lost. All right, time for the Sixers. Bum-ass Phillies. Everyone with the Eagles. Oh, bum-ass. And it's very true. It's just funny how they just quickly put on the other hat, and they're like, all right, it's hockey season. That was just something I've noticed here over the last 2 seasons. Eagles, bad. Nick Sirianni, what does he do? He doesn't call plays. He hires inept coordinators to call the offense, to call the defense. The defense yesterday, everybody looked like they've never tackled before in their life. Ray Lewis was talking about it on the Manning cast.
So many missed tackles, dude. Like,
he was saying
many missed tackles.
Everybody was playing on their own and not as a cohesive unit. There were so many missed tackles, shoulder tackles, not even wrapping up. James Bradbury getting toasted on routes. The Eagles D-line, man, you drafted the entire Georgia Bulldogs front, right? So these guys are 20, 21, 22 years old, prime, huge dudes, Jordan Davis. Where are they? Where are you? The front is not there. That is why last year, if you look, Miles Sanders had a great season. Why did he have a great season? Because he ran behind a phenomenal O-line. Then he goes to Carolina and is garbage. He's dog water. He's terrible because he didn't run behind the line. So you're only as good as your O-line and your D-line. And that's why the Eagles have been so successful, because they invest in the trenches. For some reason this season, everything went haywire 7 weeks ago, right? They were winning ugly, but this was a team that was 10-1, and and you almost can feel it coming. You feel it coming, and then we saw it, right? We saw them playing their worst football. It got worse. It got bad. People got injured, and I kind of knew. I thought maybe they were going to squeak out this win, obviously, and then they did, and they got crushed and looked bad. I was talking to one of my buddies who was an Eagles fan too, and he's just saying how unlikable Nick Sirianni is. I mean, when you see someone act like that, your head coach, when he left the when he left the Chiefs stadium, how do you like that, Chiefs fans? Yelling like a douchebag, it's very, winning makes up for a lot of red flags. Nobody cares when you're winning, right? As soon as you start losing, and everyone starts kind of turning on you. Well, what are you doing? Why is this not working? Why don't you have an identity? Another part of the thing, they abandoned the run, dude. You get up early on the Eagles, they panic. We can't run the ball anymore. We got to throw. First down, throw a screen. 2nd and 12, throw a screen. We got to throw. They abandoned the run. You can't run a even offense if you don't run the ball as well. So there's a lot I'm going to defend Jalen Hurts always. I think he's a great quarterback. More importantly, I think he's a great leader of men, and I think that is a quality that is.
But you have to admit he regressed this year.
100%.
As opposed to last year.
100%. Yeah, last year, MVP caliber, and he's in the discussion for that. This year, it did not look the same. I'm chalking it up to, you're going to have, the Eagles also depended so much on Jalen Hurts, right? He played Superman. There was a point where he would bail them out. He was in overtime with the Commanders, right? I think it was the Commanders. Overtime, he QB sneak. Yeah, we won. So you rely on him to save you, to make these throws. And then Superman's, not always going to be there. That's just not how life works, how, things go. Someone else has got to step up. We need a big sack. We need a big stop. We need a pick. We need you to frickin' tackle. So, for all those reasons, they have a lot of, I guess, soul-searching.
What I'm going to say is going to sound super cliche, but from what I saw and what I watched, it looked like a team that was done with this season and didn't want to play anymore. And this is the most cliche thing. It looks like I saw a team that quit on their coach, that they were done with this coach. They didn't want to play for him anymore. They had it. They were looking for the season to end. Yeah. As opposed to the other side, like the Bucs were playing like they were like, hey, like we like Todd Bowles and we want to play for him, but there was no. I mean, obviously Philly was trending in the wrong direction, and last night it looked like they were like, let's just end this. You know what I mean?
Rashad White looked like Barry Sanders out there.
Dude,
Rashad White was running everywhere on an Eagles front that's supposed to be dominant.
Yeah, he looked really good. Yeah, not a great performance from the Eagles.
Can we just give recognition quickly to Jason Kelce, who plays a very selfless position, and he's a 6-time Pro Bowler. I think 6-time Pro Bowler, a Super Bowl champion.
He officially
one of the
announced.
best. Yeah, he announced his retirement. He is one of the best to play centers. It's a position, that doesn't get any recognition. And you got to be very smart. You have to know your blocking assignment, and everybody else is on the line. So congrats to him. Hat tip to Jason Kelce, and he can now spend time with his family. And it just seems like a guy you want to root for,
Yeah, absolutely. Good for him. He's got a great career. And I'm sure he's happy to spend more time with his family.
Read just a quick.
Does Sirianni get fired?
I was going to say a quick anecdote about Jason Kelce. One of the writers here in Philly just wrote a quick anecdote and said he went to go speak to Jason Kelce once in the locker room for a 10-minute interview, and Jason waved him over because all the media was supposed to get let out, like your time's up, time to go. And he was like, "Do you want me to come back tomorrow?" And the guy drove up from Baltimore, and he's like, "No, you can stay." And he sat down. They had a 10-minute conversation. He even told one of the other teammates, he was like, "Hey, can you turn down that radio? We're trying to have a conversation here." And he said that just little gesture to a media member really meant a lot. So also an awesome guy off the field. So that little stuff I think should always be recognized.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, anyone with half a brain can tell that him and Travis are good dudes. Just watching their podcast for 15 minutes, you're like, oh yeah, these guys are normal, down to earth guys that are
the number
good
2
people.
Football podcast because of us. Yeah,
obviously. Yeah, no. You kidding me? Please. Taylor Swift.
You asked about
bump
Nick
or no
Sirianni,
bump.
right?
Yeah. So that's my last question, and then we can move on to divisional matchups and predictions. Does Sirianni get fired? Yes or no? I say yes.
John, this is a organization that fired Doug Peterson 2 seasons after they gave the city of Philadelphia their first Super Bowl.
He's gone.
So don't tell me that he's going to stick. Well, I'm just saying,
true.
When people say, "Oh, he went to the Super Bowl last year," bro, Jeffrey Lurie did not like Doug Peterson 2 years after he won them their
I've
first
seen
Super
interviews
Bowl,
with that guy.
So.
He doesn't mess around.
No.
He doesn't like what he sees. He's making changes.
Yeah.
Speaking of changes and big ego owners, Jerry Jones, does he fire Mike McCarthy?
Yes. I think that's an easy one, right? I don't see a situation.
It's not just that they lost; it's the way they lost.
It's also, I think, Jerry's age. They've talked a lot about that too.
Right?
He's 82 or something. He said, "I don't have time." It would be stupid of you to say, "Let's run it back."
Of course.
I thought one thing was very telling this weekend as well. Remember I talked about the Dolphins. I say what? Dolphins beat up shitty teams and they lose to good teams, right? They were 1-10 against winning teams. Who did the Dolphins beat? The Cowboys. That was the only team that they beat that had a winning record, and then look what happens. So I thought that was very telling. I was like,
That's true.
That makes sense now.
And you definitely called that. All right, so moving on, this weekend, Saturday, divisional matchups. I'm gonna give you the matchup. I'm gonna give you my prediction, and then I'll give you the odds, and then you can guess. You can agree with the odds. All right, Texans at Ravens. Mm-hmm. Man, this is a really good game.
That spread's at 9.5.
9.5. Man, dude, I'm gonna. This is crazy. I'm taking the Texans. I think Stroud is just
with 9.5 points. Absolutely.
Yeah, I'm taking the Texans.
I don't like the Texans outdoors. I don't like them outside, just because they're an indoor team. But
that's true.
It's
going to depend. What's the weather supposed to be like? That will be dependent. If it's clear, if it's just cold and clear, I'm taking them. But if it's like rainy and gross, that's a Baltimore victory written all over it. So the weather will play a factor in that game.
It's a lot of points in a playoff game.
A lot of points.
We've seen blowouts, but still.
My Packers at the 49ers. All right.
Yeah.
I'm finally taking my fan glasses off. I really like this team. We're a year ahead of schedule. I couldn't be happier with Jordan Love, even though I thought he was going to suck. I'll admit I was totally wrong, and I am so happy that I am wrong, that I was wrong about that. He's awesome. But San Francisco is better than the Packers at every single position, with the exception of quarterback. I think Love is probably better. But Purdy, when you have, I'm counting, I think, assuming they don't get injured, I think they have 5 Pro Bowlers, or I think they have not only Pro Bowlers, I think they have 5 future Hall of Famers, barring injury, on the offensive side of the ball alone. Christian McCaffrey, Deebo Samuel, Brandon Ayuk, George Kittle, left tackle Trent Williams, the best in football. So they're better than us everywhere. Shanahan, who is like, it's, LaFleur's his protege. He's just a really smart coach. But the only thing is, so I'm taking the Niners. I think they're better at every possible position.
Yeah, it's a 1 versus 7 seed.
Yeah, it would be a mirror. Some things would really have to go our way for us to win this game. So I'm taking the Niners. But however, Niners by 10. I'm not down with that. I think the Packers' offense is explosive. I'm not taking them by 10 points.
Yeah, I'm very curious to see how the week off always treats teams too. The teams
that
haven't played that had that bye week.
Packers have been playing playoff football nonstop for
you don't want to stop. If you are rolling, sometimes a week off, it sounds nice to regroup and stuff. But you got that schedule. We got to do film, we do walkthroughs, we're playing game. Let's go.
And this is how the Packers won the Super Bowl in 2010. And then look at some of those Eli Manning Giants teams. They just got hot at the right time, man.
Yeah, they were shitty for most of the season.
Oh my God, into the playoffs. Totally shitty, and then got hot in the playoffs. So hopefully I'm right in that. But my head is saying that just San Francisco is better at every position, and I think their head coach, until LaFleur can show me that he can beat Shanahan in a playoff, I'm going with the Niners. Sunday, Tampa at Lions. I'm picking the Lions here. I think at some point Baker comes back to earth a little bit. I know he's on a heater, but I think the Lions are going to pressure him. I think Hutchinson and a couple other guys are going to make it uncomfortable for him. And also, I think he's going to make a couple
was
mistakes.
That stadium, John? Lions Stadium was
crazy.
Rocking, dude.
Ford Field.
That home field advantage is it's a real advantage there.
100%. Yeah. Lions indoors. I like the Lions here.
I like them.
-6. I'm fine with that. Last game of the weekend, probably the best. Kansas City at Buffalo.
Yeah.
With Kansas City's recent struggles,
these are always great games, John. When these two teams play each
they're
other,
always great games. With Kansas City struggles, and Buffalo kind of revamping their offense, not super Josh Allen dependent. He's a little bit more under center as opposed to shotgun. I'm taking the Bills. I think it's close.
Yes.
Bills 2.5. I'm taking the Bills. I don't think Josh Allen is going to allow his team to lose in this game at home. I just don't think so. He's good. Yeah. I think they finally get it. Other NFL news, a lot of coaching changes and implications. I got to ask you this question since you're a Bears fan. Are you happy with the Bears deciding to keep Eberflus with several top free agent coaches available? Pete Carroll, Belichick, Harbaugh, Tomlin, Ben Johnson, the Lions OC.
You even got Mike Vrabel on there, dude, one of the better ones.
I know. I forgot Vrabel. I should have put it on there.
That's what I saw. I saw Mike Vrabel got fired, and Matt Eberflus has a job? What are you doing, dude?
Dude.
No, who wants a guy named Eberflus? Dude sounds like he's in Whoville, right? I mean, it's a weird name, period. You suck at your job. There's a lot of talent out there. Yeah, don't run it back. That's typical Bears fashion.
Huge mistake. All right, so I know you want to talk a couple other news, baseball and some other stuff?
Yeah, just briefly, Chicago Cubs got Shota Imanaga. He's a very good lefty from Japan. He's not as
30-year-old left-handed pitcher.
Yeah, he's not as a top tier as obviously Ohtani or Yamamoto, but he still played on that World Baseball Classic championship team. Japan puts out a lot of good pitchers. So having a lefty with him and Justin Steele on the Chicago Cubs, I think, is awesome. Two very strong left-handed pitchers is really great.
Yeah, and honestly, I like that rotation. So you got Steele one, because you don't want to go lefty. You want to go lefty righty. Switch it up. So you go Steele one, Tyon two.
I don't like that.
Three.
He's got to have a bounce back year.
4. Hendricks and 5 Wicks, who is really good. I think he's going to be even better. That dude can pitch. So
you
it's a good
also forgot Wisniewski. Wisniewski had a lot of promise coming from.
Well, Council specifically named him during Cubs Con. Council was like, I'm really interested to see what Hayden Wisniewski was doing, and they were really high on him in spring training just because of his sweeper. It just has phenomenal spin. Like it's like an elite pitch. He just wasn't able to harness it.
Yeah. If he could take a few steps this season, that would be huge
100%.
To get a little bit better from your number 5
and the fact
or
that
even
Council specifically said his name at CubsCon makes me think that I trust Council and he's really smart. So it's like he thinks there's something there. There's untapped potential, and he's like, I can't wait to work with them. So that's gonna be really exciting. What else?
I just want to talk about how Shota Imanaga got his number. His number is number 18. He chose that jersey number because very cool, man. It just shows how detail oriented and Japan comes from a culture of honor and
respect.
Respect. So knowing that he wanted to come to Chicago, he did some research about the Cubs. Looked at the 2016 team. Obviously, World Series MVP Ben Zobrist wore number 18. And if you guys don't know, Ben Zobrist, very good guy. A trivia question: he went back-to-back World Series, one with the Royals and then with the Cubs in 15 and 16. Very few players do that. He also played for the Rays, but he's a very good Christian man. You ask any of his teammates, he's a quality guy. He got cheated on by his wife with their pastor. Dude, straight to hell. So he got cheated on by his wife. He had to step away from baseball.
If you follow
he was going
her on
through a lot of stuff, mentally, emotionally.
She's like batshit crazy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like if you follow her on Instagram,
she's just singing his walk up.
So none of that surprised me. None of it. I was like, yep, that checks out.
Yeah, no.
She looks nuts.
She sang his walk up song, Benny and the Jets. Anyway, Ben Zobrist, quality guy, family man, really just an awesome man, a man. And he did all this research. He knew kind of how important he was to the team. He was the MVP, so he reached out to his agency and said, do you mind if I wear number 18 to honor you? And he was like, man, coming from a culture with so much honor, that is a really awesome thing. He said, go for it. That's totally cool. So thought that was a very cool anecdote for the Chicago Cubs' new pitcher and how he chose his jersey number.
Absolutely, and also how he chose to address the public at his press conference, his introductory press conference. He in English, he goes,
Yes.
"Hey Cubs, what do you say the Cubs are going to win today?"
Chicago.
He was singing, yeah. What do you say? So
Yeah.
I was like, "That's awesome." He learned the Cubs song, and that was the first words out of his mouth. I'm like, this dude's all in, and he, from what I hear, he took quite a bargain. He's like, he's all in with this team. So
Yes.
that's what you want. You want someone who wants to win, who's all in.
You want someone who wants to be there, period. Right?
Yeah, you want someone who's all in, who wants to be there and wants to win, and that dude does. Really excited for the upcoming baseball season, but
yeah, that was.
I have to wait. That'll have to wait after the Packers make a miracle run to the Super Bowl. So
you got it, and Marcus Stroman we saw went to the Yankees as well.
Yeah,
me and John, maybe
might
we'll get
like
to see
that.
him.
I won't miss him, but I actually think he'll do well in New York. I think he's going to feed off that the attention. I think he's going to do well. The opposite.
John,
he's the opposite of
opposite.
Sonny Gray. Let's just say that.
John, the Yankees are a very buttoned up organization. Marcus Stroman is not a quiet, buttoned up guy. You saw what they did to Josh Donaldson. Josh Donaldson, who went there, he was a noisemaker. They chopped his nuts off. He was a shell of himself. He, with his tweeting and if he wears a do-rag, can you imagine, Steinbrenner like, oh my God, he's got a do-rag.
Right.
Like that kind of stuff doesn't fly in New York.
So I think, okay. This goes back to like business and hiring people. Are they a good fit culturally? Okay, let's be honest. He's never been a good fit culturally anywhere. That's why he's been on like 50 different teams. You know what I mean? There's a reason. There's a reason for that he's been on a variety of different teams. But I think what the Yankees say is, I'll put up with some of this stuff because this guy has the confidence and bravado and talent to pitch in New York. He's not going to freak out like Sonny Gray, who just couldn't handle it. And then became like a stud pitcher
He'll get a lot more run support than he did in Chicago too.
Absolutely, yeah. No, I think it's going to benefit the Yankees. I think if they can work through some of the HR violations that I'm sure he'll have, I feel like performance is ultimately the most important thing.
Maybe we'll see him on March 21st when we land in Tampa when the New York Yankees take on the Philadelphia Phillies. You never know.
Yeah, dude,
he might be pitching that day.
The plan tentatively is to go down to Florida, do some spring training content, go to some games. Looking forward to that, man. It's -8 out, so I would love to be in Florida right now.
You know what, John? When I was a young lad and I watched Fever pitch, I thought, that's so cool. This guy gets to go out with his buddies to spring training and have fun. I'm like, when I grow up, I hope I'm
going to do that.
And now I'm living my dream, John. Me and you are going to go out there. We're going to work on the dates, get everything figured out. I told you work is working on credentials as well. She texted me today.
Awesome.
She's working on them still. So I said, just let me know when it's confirmed so we can have everything ready to go. But
sounds good, buddy.
Yeah, man, we're living the dream.
We're doing it.
We're doing
next
it.
Next time I talk to you, hopefully I'm wearing this hat. If I'm not, you'll know we lost.
You'll know why. It's all right.
Thanks, everybody, for listening.
All right, guys. Thanks, Mr. LaLoja. We'll see you later.
You're welcome, Mr. Vitale. Bye.